Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here. Remember Oppo, that company Oppo? Remember them? They posted a bit of a teaser a couple of days ago on Twitter that I retweeted that reads, hashtag Find5 was the first smartphone with a 5-inch 1080p display. Hashtag Find7 is taking it one step further. Hashtag always improve. And then it shows this image that shows the Oppo Find 5 has a 1080p display, obviously, and that the Oppo Find 7, its successor, is going to have a 2K display. So many things about this just get to me. All right, so first of all, only Oppo. Only Oppo would tweet the next-gen specs of the successor to their current device that they're currently working on that no other company has ever introduced yet. Only Oppo would tweet and tease something like this. Second of all, what exactly is a 2K display? If you watched my 4K explain video, you'll know that the K is a shortening moniker for the horizontal resolution of the image of roughly 4,000 by 2000 pixels. So doesn't that mean 1920 by 1080 is already 2K, roughly? I guess the hashtag always improve would suggest that Oppo has a slightly higher resolution in mind. I'm thinking 2560 by 1440 or something like that, but then again, is that 2.5K? Where does that fall? Either way, it doesn't really matter. All we know is it's higher than 1080p, and I'm glad to see Oppo as a company pushing the limits yet again here. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking, because I've seen it in the tweets, I've seen it in the comments in other videos. It's why would I want a 2K display in my smartphone? If I already have a 1080p display, I already can't see the pixels, it already looks super sharp. Why would I want extra resolution? That's just gonna kill battery life, that's just gonna hinder graphics performance, just going to make the phone less enjoyable to use. Why would anyone want a 2K display? And it's so easy to just ignore that tweet and agree with that. It's so easy to just not care, basically. But if you rewind to September 2012, I made a video in September 2012 called the Super Retina Display Smartphone about a company called Oppo who was preparing to release a revolutionary 1080p smartphone. And if you look back at a lot of those older comments, a lot of the comments on that old video remind me exactly of the reactions to Oppo's tweet, where people are saying, 1080p on a smartphone? Are you kidding me? Why would I want that? I can already not see the pixels on my iPhone. It already has a Retina display. Why would I want a 1080p smartphone? That's just gonna wreck my performance. That's just gonna hinder my battery life. And at first, it really did. They were right. The first 1080p smartphones like the Oppo Find 5 and the Droid DNA, they were really not the best performance. They needed like top-end specs and massive batteries to keep up with the phones that didn't have 1080p displays. And their sales showed they weren't the best-selling phones, they weren't the best experience, even though they had those amazing new, bright, beautiful-looking panels. But slowly, the big guns came on. The HTC Ones, the Galaxy S4s, the Sony Xperia Zs, the Nexus 5s. Suddenly, we have all these massive 1080p phones, and it's sort of a standard by now. We kind of expect a new high-end smartphone to have a 1080p display by the end of 2013. And actually, something funny happened. A Moto X came out that was supposed to be a flagship for Motorola, and it had a 720p display, and there were comments from people who said, why doesn't this have a 1080p display? How is this supposed to be a flagship without a 1080p display? So it's clear that 1080p has become a standard. It's become what we expect out of every new phone. And it's obvious that a 1080p phone nowadays, compared to last generation 720p phones, the 1080p phone looks a lot better. And even more obvious when you put a 1080p phone next to an iPhone. No offense to the iPhone, but it has a 640p display, and you can definitely tell which one is the 1080p display when you put them side by side. A phone with a 1080p display is going to look a lot better than a phone with a 640p display, even though you already can't see the pixels on that 640p display. Because it's about so much more than just raw pixels now. It's almost like the megapixel count in cameras. It's way more than just pixels now. It's so much more than just that. If I sat you down 10 feet away from two 50-inch TVs, one of them is a 1080p TV, and the other one is a 4K TV, and I ask you, which one looks better? 10 times out of 10, you're going to say that the 4K TV looks better, even though you can't see the pixels on either one of them from 10 feet away. You can still tell that that 4K TV looks immensely better. And I've done this test for myself. I went to CES 2013. I will be at CES 2014 again to see way more 4K TVs. But you can tell that a 4K TV of the same size as a 1080p TV looks way better, even though you can't see the pixels on any of them. So this same philosophy is being applied here by Oppo to smartphones. You can make a display that looks better than a 1080p display, even though you already can't see the pixels on the 1080p display. So I'm ready to see that. I'm ready, and it looks like Oppo is going to be the one to do it. Either they're first or they're one of the first. Now, will it impact battery life at first? Probably. Will it negatively hurt your graphics performance at first? Probably. But Oppo is willing to take that risk again. And, you know, I admire them for that. They're willing to be the icebreaker, just dive in headfirst, be the number one, and push that boundary. And that's impressive. Setting standards is not easy. But I can kind of see that same trend as we saw before happening with this 2K resolution. Over the next few months, the big guns started getting into it. You know, big players, the new Galaxy S5 comes out with a 2K display. Galaxy Note 4. HTC 2, Nexus 6, and then maybe we'll see a Motorola phone that comes out with this 1080p display that makes everyone scratch their heads. Why is it only 1080p? You know, what? I mean, crazy. It might happen. It might just happen. It's all about framing, really. And I guess basically what I'm trying to say with this whole video is that that no one should really be complaining when it comes to the future of technologies like this, like the really high tech stuff. When we're seeing, like, for example, really high resolutions in smartphones, there's no real reason to complain unless, you know, maybe you buy a smartphone with a 2K display and your battery life sucks. Then complain. Please complain, because that's going to make the technology better. But there's always going to be the naysayers in the infancy of any new technology, growing pains, as I like to call it. But don't complain unless it's actually hurting you. Like, just let it happen. Let Oppo take the bold steps. Like, let whoever wants to follow in their foot trails take the next bold steps. I guess I'm probably just rambling at this point. I wrote this really quickly and I wanted to tell you guys it. But anyway, that's basically it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I'm excited, like I said, to see the Find 7. By the way, I hope this isn't a gigantic phone, Oppo. You could say it's 2560 by 1600, but if it's a 7-inch phone, not working out. But yeah, I'm excited because the rest of the Find 7 specs that have leaked have been along the lines of, like, 15 megapixel camera, 4,000 milliamp hour battery, Snapdragon 805 or 803 next generation chip, like 3 or 4 gigs of RAM, just crazy stuff. So I'm excited for the future of mobile phones, and it's the end of 2013. The beginning of 2014 is going to bring more awesome stuff. I'm rambling again. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.